you're just gonna guide us here, Ben, on our journey.
Kind of. Like I said, I didn't take too many notes.
Away.
I'm gonna spirit you guys away.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm gonna start with this movie's got great ratings. Even IMDb gave it an 8.6 out of 10, and IMDb does not give anyone a good rating.
That's true, because the weirdos on IMDb.
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised it only got, what'd you say, 8.6?
Yeah.
For IMDb, that's high.
Yeah.
I guess, but
It's not the Joker, and they gave it over an 8. I'm surprised.
Yeah, classic, really good movies, they give 7.5 max.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's all right.
97%.
I'll spirit you guys away to start it off at least.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how to start yet, but it's probably going to be like, welcome to Late to the Movies podcast, where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Every week, we're going to pick a movie that either I or a guest hasn't seen before, but really should have by now. This week, we're talking about Spirited Away. My guest for the 4th time is Cory.
Hey, you know me by now.
Yes. Once again, I'd like that you keep bringing the catchphrases. And then 2 new people to the podcast. Like I said, this is Cory's 4th episode, and this will be the 3rd time a woman's been on. Ray's here.
Wow, that's special.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, 2 women,
already
4
smells
Corys.
better in
It's
here.
like, yeah, I know, right? And also Greg's here.
Hey, yeah, I'm ready to talk about Spirited Away.
Good.
Let's go.
I hope so.
Wait, first off, shout out Germany.
Shout out
To
Germany.
whoever's in Germany listening, we see you, we hear you, we love you. Spread the word.
They're all caught up. They haven't. As of now, we've put out 5 episodes. They've listened to 4 of them, but the other one just came out today as we're recording this, so it's fine. They have time.
All
Guys.
right.
Very specific targeting.
Yeah.
A little off topic. How disappointed would you be to find out this was me with a VPN watching these?
Well, I actually
We're
said
pretty
that
sure.
in the last episode. I was like, it's probably someone with VPN. But usually when you connect to a VPN, it's like dynamically changing. The IP is like you switch countries. And why would you switch? Why would you go to Germany?
Why not?
Germany.
I like Germany, yeah.
You have bad ping.
So yeah, once again, Guten Tag, Das Movies, and we're going to talk about Spirited Away. That was Japanese, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Perfect transition. Before we get into the movie, though, usually start by talking a little bit about movie watching habits, and it just so happens that Greg and Ray are in our friend group, probably the 2 people I've talked to movies about the most with. I think
Talk
that's
to movies about.
I talk about movies with the most 2. I don't know, some combination of those words, but either way, yeah. Is that fair to say? You're looking at me
Yeah.
like you don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I do. I do.
He's
That
never
is
watched
fair
a
to
movie
say.
in his
No,
life.
that's definitely
We
fair.
love movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks to Ray.
Yeah, because
Oh,
I
yeah.
had my job at the movie theater for like 7 years. So,
What a boon.
So free movies. I married her just for the free movies.
Yeah. We did the
Little
math
did he
once,
know.
and we got like over
Didn't last
$10,000 worth of free movies. So
Jeez.
good
Don't
stuff.
forget the posters.
Yeah, and
A
I
lot
have
of
a stack
posters.
of
Free
like
popcorn.
I don't know, 300 posters,
Yeah.
something
at
like
least.
that. Trash bags full of popcorn.
Do you have a Spirited Away one?
I don't have a Spirited Away.
It was
one.
really hard to get the really cool ones. Like the
Yeah.
ones that
Yeah.
people
If
were
you have
really
any
into.
Miyazaki ones, I'll pay money,
No,
cash money.
they're giving away Mank like no tomorrow, but
I'll pay you to not
I
give that
find
to
that
me.
hard to believe. Another thing that we talk about a lot is you guys host an Oscars party every year in our friend group. So that is another kind of point of connection for movies. You mentioned Mank. Obviously, we all loved Mank last year.
best movie
I
I've
don't-
ever seen.
It was the only Oscar nominated Best Picture that I didn't watch.
But that is a lot of what we've talked about is the Oscar stuff. There's a pool. There's a great trophy that like I won once. I don't know who else has won.
You
Just
won
Pat.
once and Pat won 7 times.
I don't know. I remember the time I won. But you guys, these days, movie watching is not quite so much with the kid and all. But
Not as much, but we still like watch movies.
yeah,
we
I wanna
definitely make time for all the Oscar movies.
Any movie
Yeah.
that I'm really interested in. I want to say I'm a big movie buff, but I do come in last almost every year in that Oscar pool there.
It's because you go with your heart.
It is because I go with my heart, but I feel like you could flip coins and do better than I do, but that's okay.
It's
But
'cause
you
they don't
actually
know.
watch 'em,
They don't
though.
know.
you actually watch them though. So
I do
that's-
watch them. I have a lot of
a good
opinions
credit.
on them. They're apparently wrong, but we'll see.
Yeah, and you don't look up like the odds before you go with your heart. And there's definitely you're a purist. a real soul
I feel like
skater.
it's against the spirit of the game.
Yeah, I don't want them to know what other people
Scout's
are
honor.
Yeah.
are planning on picking, unless it's obviously people coming to the party, because I'll discuss the movies beforehand with them and kind of get an
Smart.
idea. But I won't be like looking online to see what like film critics think is going to win and stuff.
One of my favorite things you guys do is you get a roundup of I don't know if what the word is, the weirdest scenes.
Yeah, the
from
weirdest
movies?
scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's done before we watch the Oscars. We pick all the weirdest scenes, throw them all together, and then we display them to the party goers, and we see if we can come to kind of a consensus. Because there's always some really, really weird scenes in those movies.
Yeah. This year was like a little weak though, I felt like.
It was. This year was definitely weaker than past years.
Yeah.
This year, the winner was My Octopus Teacher, and it was
Yeah.
basically the entire movie.
Yeah, it was just how into that octopus he was, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
he
that movie. I didn't
caresses
watch it,
the
but I saw
octopus a
clips.
lot,
Yeah.
a lot. And the way he describes
Longingly
it,
stares out a window.
yes, and then it shows him caressing the octopus some more and
Yeah,
talking
the
about his
octopus
love
is like
for the
on his bare
octopus.
chest. And
Yeah, he like rubs it onto his chest and stuff.
Wait a minute.
Very
All right.
sensual.
It sounds weird, but then you think about a dog. You're just constantly petting a dog all day. The dog's like
Not
on your
like
lap.
this.
Not like this.
Not like,
Not like
this.
this.
No.
Like you're like rubbing them onto your bare chest and like
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Oh, I just do that with my pets because, there's enough hair there where they feel like I'm a motherly figure.
Mm-hmm.
yes, hairy
I
mom.
don't know. I think there's a difference between a dog and an octopus. Like I can picture taking a dog and be like, oh, look at this little dog, and like rubbing it on you. But an octopus,
Yeah. But which one won an Oscar, right?
Yeah.
I knew that one was gonna fucking win.
I know. I didn't pick it.
I did good this year on that.
I didn't watch
ballot,
any-
actually.
any of the movies.
This was like the
Which is
only
why
year
I'm
I
on
could have
this show
won.
so much.
Yeah, that's true. That is cool. But actually a reversal of that this week because you guys hadn't seen it before, right?
No.
I saw Spirited Away when I was like 13, and I remembered
Okay.
nothing from it.
Cool. And Greg hadn't seen it before.
No.
Meanwhile, this is your favorite movie?
Oh, yeah. This is hands down been consistently my favorite movie throughout the years. Ever since it came out. I remember seeing it on TV when like movies happened at a certain time.
Yeah.
And you couldn't just look it up. Yeah, honestly, all of the Miyazaki movies or Studio Ghibli movies
Yeah.
are just,
yeah.
they hit here.
I
I'm
haven't.
pointing my heart.
I hadn't seen any of his movies. This was the first one.
Really?
It's a good
Yeah.
one to start with.
Yeah, and I like animated movies a lot too. I feel like
Yeah.
not that I don't appreciate like cinematography in movies and stuff, but there's just something like kind of special about the way like people choose to animate certain things, and I don't know. I feel like I really enjoy like just watching certain things, and it was animated so well. This one.
Well, especially Studio Ghibli, like they're like a traditional animation. Like all of the backgrounds of this movie were hand drawn or hand painted. And I watched the documentary of Miyazaki, and they showed like the original backgrounds, and it was just like they spent a lot of time on those backgrounds.
Backgrounds are real nice.
Was it all watercolor?
I think so.
Something like that, yeah.
This movie, when was this thing released? It's a little older,
Oh,
right?
one.
01, yeah. It's 2000 and then 01 here, right?
Oh, yeah. It just says 01 on the. But
That'll be important later.
oh, 02 in USA.
Okay, so 01 and then 02. And I know it was a year later. Thanks Disney, I guess.
Yeah, it's so funny too that when you told me it was like Disney and like Pixar who brought it over, because when I saw it and they had mentioned like in the showing we did that like, it had won like an Academy Award, but he hasn't made movies in a while, and I was like, oh well, Pixar's probably happy about that because they fucking win every year and they have like no competition, like they blow everyone else out of the water, and I was like, they would not blow him out of the water if he was still making some shit, because this was, like I said, I really liked the way a lot of it was animated.
Yeah, it's so good. It just looks right
The way that
and vibrant and just like it flows in such a way that is just awesome.
I
think
really
it's
like
a
the way
lot
they move.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's a lot different than like some of the, I don't know, American animations that we're used to.
Mhm.
Like it's very different from like a Pixar movie or, something like that.
Even like the way they like run and stuff, it just looks so nice. Like I feel like that's something that's hard to get right to in animation, like getting like someone's gait correctly. And I feel like they do it really, really well. And even the way everyone moves, which I feel like is particularly impressive because a lot of those characters are really weird.
Yeah.
So like to make them not only this really strange character, but make it very believable, like the way they move and stuff. And I feel like all that seemed really realistic, but then every now and then they throw in something where like their bodies like tense up and all their hair like shoots back or something
Yeah.
when like something like kind of comical is happening.
Yeah, it's expressionistic in really interesting ways while still having a consistency of how everything's moving. And it's not all the same either. Like you see the way that the radish spirit is moving is big, basically big fat guy in a small red loincloth who is a radish. And you're like, that is how that guy would move for sure. Kind of slow and plodding. However the stink spirit moves through the town and over the bridge, it all just like makes sense. And it's just so, I mean, every frame of this is just so nice to look at. We should mention that we all went to see this on the big screen, which was really cool. I'm really glad we did that. What an opportunity. And just for the sake of clarity, I guess that version was dubbed. You guys have rewatched it since. Did you watch the dubbed version again or the subbed?
I just watched the dub version
We
again.
wanted to be
'cause that's-
consistent.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to be consistent. I think we almost picked the subbed version for that watching, but I think the dubbed version was on a weekend night, and the subbed one was like a weekday afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember we were thinking like, what? It doesn't really matter. But one of these is like you said, like
Middle of a
early,
workday.
mid afternoon on a weekend, or like 12 p.m. on a Tuesday or something. I'm sure it wasn't that, but still, very cool. They're doing. By the time this comes out, it might be over. But I think there are 4 different Miyazaki films that are being shown on the big screen across America in the fall.
I really should have signed up for all 4 of them.
I know. I think it was Howl's was another one. I don't remember
I'd be
the other
super
2.
interested in seeing some of these other ones.
Well, they're all on HBO Max now. After a very long time, the Ghibli movies were not on any kind of streaming service or digital service. And then when HBO Max launched, one of the big draws of it, one of the big like marketing points was we have all of them now. They hopefully paid Miyazaki a lot of money for that.
They had to have.
Yeah, they had to have. So that's where they all live now. And, I don't know. Seeing it on the big screen, obviously. I wouldn't say something's lost, especially with a movie like this, if you're just watching it on your phone or whatever, but I'm glad we saw it on the big screen. Before we get too much more into reaction, though, let's do a brief plot summary. Traditionally, one of the people who hasn't seen the movie before gives a brief plot summary. If either of you want to take up that mantle.
Sure. How brief a plot summary? Like you want
Like
me to
one
go start to
sentence?
finish, or just like
Start
what
to
I would see on
finish,
the
but
back
like
of the
under a
box?
minute and a half.
Ooh.
So
20
our-
words or less.
What?
20 words or less.
Oh my god.
But you can do many sections of 20 words or less.
Oh, okay,
I'm
yeah.
just kidding. Yeah.
So this movie here is about a young girl moving to a new town. On the way to her new town, her parents pull over and find an abandoned theme park. They cross a river to go investigate this theme park and accidentally cross over into the spirit world. Her parents are turned into pigs due to some of their own gluttony, and we follow Chihiro's adventure through the spirit world as she's trying to get out and save her parents. She has to take a job working at this bathhouse for spirits, which is where most of our movie takes place. There's another protagonist, Haku, who's helping her, and there is an antagonist. What's
Yuao?
Yeah, Yubaba, who is actually the one who gives her this job. So that's kind of what's happening. And most of the movie is about her growth throughout this adventure as she starts off as this kind of timid girl and kind of finds her way into herself. And obviously she does eventually get out of this spirit world and back into the real world with her parents with her.
Pretty much it. This movie sits at such an amazing intersection of kid logic and dream logic. For me, it's just so, how like in your dreams, there's like someone that maybe they look like a famous person, but that's your uncle for some reason. Like that's kind of how this operates, sort of. And it's just such a cool vibe throughout. So that's sort of an overall impression. From the beginning, though, I just love the setup. It's any kid moving to a new town. Obviously, she's got like some reservations. She sees her new school, doesn't want to look at it. Who would? Her dad talks about how many caches and credit cards he has as they're walking to the theme park.
Yep.
The obviously abandoned theme park. He's like, don't worry, I've got cash and credit cards. He's wearing a polo and,
He's a dad.
He's like maximum dadding.
Will not take driving advice from his wife.
No, won't take driving advice from his wife.
To be fair, the wife is very judgmental. All she does is yell at that poor kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping she was going to stay as a pig.
I mean, honestly, right? Yeah, that whole bit is like, I mean, I know, like, oh, whatever, let's investigate this. I don't know, go meet up with the movers first. You can come back.
The movers have a key.
Like,
They can start without us.
They're going to start without it. What are you talking about? Why are you going in here? And I'm very, as someone who was a very scared child, I very much on Chihiro's side when she's like, nah, I don't want to do this. Can we go home, please?
Honestly, in the beginning, I was like, oh, she's so whiny.
She was kind of whiny, yeah.
Yeah. I was not totally on her side to start. I was like, oh, she's so
No.
whiny and like.
But I thought like the parents were typical like white family walking into a haunted house kind of
Yes,
thing.
the
you
whole
know?
time, like, oh, there's been 12 murders in this house. Let's move right in. Got a sick deal on it.
Yeah, not even like they didn't even go to their house. They went searching for the most haunted location they could find.
Just right off the bat.
Yeah,
Well, this place is entirely abandoned. Yeah, let's go see if they have
To
food.
check it out.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, there's just food sitting here.
just
Yeah,
saw
this
food,
is totally
a
for
whole
sale.
Buffet, yeah.
So, like,
And that buffet they find is deep in this abandoned theme park.
Yeah.
It's not like this.
They have not seen another
ways
person
in.
for several 100 yards at least of this abandoned theme park.
Yeah, everything else is clearly abandoned.
But for some reason they think it's a restaurant.
They sit down. Daddy's got cash and credit. It's fine.
Yep, and they eat away. That's how they turn into pigs. Chihiro doesn't make it past the river by nightfall, so she enters the spirit world. And that's basically where we kick off everything else. We don't have to go like beat by beat. If there's anything you specifically want to touch on, just start talking about it and we'll all, get there. But
So one thing,
Yeah.
maybe someone else knows because I've only seen this movie those 2 times recently. The parents turn into pigs. It has something to do with gluttony, right?
Yep.
very much so.
Yeah.
Because they just cannot stop eating, and they're very clearly like tempted by this food. Like they see it, they are like they have the like wafting smell trail and stuff, and the dad's like running after it and stuff. Why does Chihiro not care about it at all? Is it just because she's like scared and wants to leave? But like this food doesn't tempt her at all. She's not like.
Is it something
Well-
about her being like a kid and kind of innocent?
I think
or-
it's not the food itself that's tempting them. Like, there's nothing special about it. They're just like hungry and they're like, hey, we'll eat that. But Chihiro, I think she specifically says that's not ours, or like that's. I think she mentioned something like we shouldn't eat that. Like, come on, let's go. Like, that's not ours. But the parents don't care. They're like,
Yeah, because he says something about like, don't worry, I'll pay for it when
yeah.
people get back or something.
Yeah,
right?
Like, she knows better as a child. They're like, hey, you're not supposed to do that. But
Yep.
the parents are like, we're adults. We know what to do.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of that, and she's obviously pretty scared too.
Look how
So
skinny
not-
she was.
not
Probably
like
eats like
gonna-
4 crackers a day.
Yeah, not going to eat just random food that showed up in, to a kid's mind, an obviously haunted theme park.
She wasn't wrong.
Yeah. In a larger sense, I think that's pretty much why it is in the movie. Why they put it in the movie like that is it's about consumerism and stuff. We can get to all that stuff at the end when we're talking about more of like the metatextual stuff.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Well, I guess before we get into the movie, that's what I was looking up on my phone, something about the whole Disney thing. So the relationship between Miyazaki and Disney had a pretty interesting start. Originally, Disney, it was during Princess Mononoke, said to Miyazaki, we'll show this in America, but you have to cut it. You have to cut parts out of it because 2 hours is too long. Nobody's going to sit through it. And he just straight up answered and just said, no cuts. And then they eventually played it, and it was actually it was not popular.
Mononoke is pretty brutal too.
It is, yeah. It's not like the most children. Like I wouldn't show that to Renly.
It's like violently environmentalist,
Yeah.
right? So which isn't really what Disney's about.
Honestly, I was surprised because this one was like over 2 hours or right on that like 2 hour mark.
Yeah.
And when we were like telling our babysitter originally when we were going to be back, I was like, yeah, I hadn't looked it up, but I was like, well, movie probably like an hour and a half because like, oh, it's like a early 2000s animated movie. Yeah, like, you know, it's going to be an hour and a half.
Animated.
And then I went and like looked it up later to be sure. I was like, oh my God, this is like a 2 hour movie. Then there's like, I was like, there's probably previews and stuff. I was like, oh man, this is going to be a long one.
I remember it feeling long when we were sitting in the theater. I feel like there was a point. I don't remember what had happened in the movie, but I feel like we both looked at each other and were like, oh wow, we have a lot left.
I think we definitely said that at one point. Like, wow,
I
there's
can't
definitely a
remember
lot of
what
movie
point
left.
that was though, but yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it dragged or anything.
No,
though.
but it was just like,
It was
oh,
very
this has been going
enjoyable.
on for a while. And we still have a lot more. This is interesting.
Yeah, even when Spirited Away released in America, it like critics loved it. Like it was an overwhelming success amongst critics, but like the average person, like the sales weren't good until I think it was when they won an award for it, the Academy Award. I'm not good at the
It
whole
picked
movie
up some
awards.
momentum at different award ceremonies around. Disney covered 10% of the production cost in order to have right of first refusal to put it out in America. But Ghibli being what it is, Miyazaki being how he is, they've never given up merch rights to any third party ever. So Disney didn't market it when it came out in America because they make their money on selling toys and they weren't going to be allowed to sell toys for it. So they didn't really market it when it came out.
Miyazaki does not give a fuck.
Nope.
He's like, yeah, if it does bad, whatever. Like, we're not giving you the rights. Have you ever been to a Ghibli store?
No. No,
There's
definitely
like they're pretty sparse. I went to one in Korea. I think there's just one, and one in Japan, and it was just
one
like
toy a week that you can buy.
yeah, and it was just like this. Even the store itself was built kind of like a Miyazaki movie. Like the walls weren't normal. There was like trees built into the walls and stuff like that. It was just really cool because they only sell that stuff there. Like Ben said, I don't think any Ghibli things are sold elsewhere.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. I think I saw a giant Totoro at Newberry Comics.
I feel like I've seen him play.
Yeah. I think, yeah. Yeah.
They just have some
Totoro
more
specifically
Like, yeah, just
exclusive
is
Totoro.
not stoppable, right? It's out there. It looks too cuddly.
Look how cute he is. I
It is
mean,
too
I know
cute.
it's maybe the embodiment of death, but it's just so cuddly.
He was in Toy Story, wasn't
hot
he?
take.
Isn't he one of Bonnie's toys?
He is.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
also okay. Well, I don't know if we want to foreground John Lasseter and Pixar, but that was a shout out because Lasseter was the huge fan at Pixar that made Disney go get the rights to distribute this
Gotcha.
because he was
reading that.
yeah, he was so in love, fortunately not inappropriately for once, with Miyazaki's films that he just like forced Disney to do this. He of course has since resigned in disgrace within the last few years, and got a new job at, I think it's Skydance Animation, I want to say, where, as all people in his position did, he resigned in disgrace, immediately got a job as a head of a different studio. So,
Yeah, makes sense.
so that's the Pixar element of all this stuff. But he loves Miyazaki's films. So yes, there's a Totoro in Toy Story because it's an Easter egg, I guess.
Okay.
Honestly, I think Totoro is one of the reasons I hadn't watched any of these Miyazaki movies.
Too mainstream for you?
Yeah, it was like, I hate that
I was
guy.
like, wait, why?
No, because he was
He's
like,
so cute.
he was cute, but like in a very mainstream, like I didn't know what the movies were about, but I was like, oh, it's that one that everyone likes,
He's
that
such a
cute
hater.
character from. You know what I
Such
mean?
a
So I like
hipster.
didn't think about any more of it. I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, those are those movies that have that like cute cat thing that everyone likes.
You should probably watch Totoro.
So that
Yeah,
one does
I
have
feel
a
like
cat
it's less
bus,
cute.
So
Like it's
After
like
I've seen this one, I was
kind
like,
of uncomfortable.
even though that
Right,
was like a
yeah.
long time ago that I
Yeah.
thought of that, and like, you know,
yeah.
in more recent years, obviously, I was like, oh, I got to watch those eventually, but they were just kind of on the list.
Totoro was everywhere. Like
Yes. I feel
people
like when we
had
were in
Totoro
like high school,
backpacks, Totoro,
it was like
like,
a thing.
trinkets.
So I was like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, it was a Newberry Comics thing. Maybe Hot Topic got in there. I don't know.
I think so.
Probably.
Yeah.
Kind of to sort of, since we were talking about Miyazaki and we're kind of starting with the context of it before talking about the movie itself, there's this one thing, I'm not even sure when it happened, but I just looked up the article so I can reference exactly what he said. But he went to this AI animation studio to be presented with, oh, this could be like a movie making tool. And the team working on this AI animation put together like a demonstration for him of you can program a character based on what limbs and what qualities you give them. It'll move in like the most efficient way possible. And they made like this really monstrous combination of just like a head with an arm. And so it was moving by like slamming its head in the ground, like moving, and then like dragging its arm or whatever. You can find the video of it. It doesn't look great, but it's clearly like something that these people just put so much time into, and it was like their baby. They cracked how to make characters animate themselves, basically. And they showed it to Miyazaki, and he said, "I strongly feel this is an insult to life itself." And so there's this video of them, and then it's just like a very silent room, and I'm pretty sure that they start crying, and then he's just like, "That's how he feels."
Miyazaki's a very cynical person.
Yep, this isn't art. Sorry, this is
recommend
awful.
Watching his documentary, he like hates everyone, or like doesn't think highly of everyone except for children and goats. I think that was were the two things. Yeah,
That's fair.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
yeah.
Well, the generation of Japanese adults that Chihiro's parents came from, obviously, he didn't think very highly of.
Clearly, yes.
What with all the piggishness, I suppose.
I think I could gather that immediately from that movie.
Yeah. And that's why he's wearing like a Western style polo, and he's got the cash and the credit cards, but you know, all that stuff. So yeah, whatever. We're already talking about it. So here's the quote that he has about the pigs. I pulled it up. This part I'm going to cut out, obviously.
You don't have to. It makes it feel real, raw.
It's so raw.
I can talk while you look it up. Yeah. So,
Good.
yeah, Miyazaki, he's an interesting character who like is the epitome of stubborn Japanese man. Like he does not, he does not break to what like he thinks should be done. Like with his movies, he's very strict. And that entire 2-hour movie was all hand animated. Like everything was hand drawn, all by hand.
Yeah, I think you could tell.
2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It looks so nice though because of
Yeah.
it.
It's like, it's magical. Like that
Honestly-
movie, I got that feeling like I don't even know how to describe it, but like the only word I could use is magical.
It's the characters. They're
Yeah.
just so like unique.
Yeah.
Remember, we were talking
Yeah,
about
the character design is the best part of that movie by far.
Yeah.
They all have personality.
Yeah. And I was talking about the dream and the kid logic, and that applies to that too. They all just make sense. There's this weird sort of synergy between the characters and the story that's happening. And it's all fantastical, but it's all grounded in real characters. And there's, like you said, I just can't put my finger on what it is. It's like a magic trick, this movie. I feel like I could go to film school for a billion years and not understand the moment to moment of how this is doing what it's doing to produce the effect that it has on me. And it sounds like on you guys too, where it's just like, yeah, this is maybe a perfect movie.
it's so good.
It is maybe a perfect movie, and it's about like everything that matters at the same time in human existence.
We were talking about Haku. We think he's like I think he's the like coolest character, like his design.
Oh yeah.
Because like spoiler alert, he turns into a dragon, but he's like a very long dragon, and his face is very much like a wolf's face instead of like what you would imagine being a dragon's face. And then you pointed out that his feet are like he's got bird feet.
Yeah, it's like bird legs.
Yeah, he's got bird legs.
It's a very different design.
Yeah, it's very unique for a dragon. I don't think he has wings either.
No, he just shimmies.
He just
Yeah.
shimmies.
He moves
He's a river spirit.
moves like
right?
water.
So,
Yeah, he moves like
Yeah.
water.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But he's real cool. His color schemes works really well too. He's just
I'm very close to pulling the trigger on getting a Haku tattoo. in dragon form.
Oh.
Yeah.
That'd be a cool tattoo.
The whole
Yeah.
way his like mouth is animated too, because he growls at some points. At some points, there's like blood dripping out of his mouth, and it's just animated. Like it looks perfect.
After he got cut by the little floating things from Yubaba's sister,
The paper birds or whatever.
Yeah, you see his mouth up close a lot of times, and every time it's like he's growling or drooling or blood's coming out, and it just looks like perfect.
the way he moves through like the sky, it's just so cool. Like it's not
really
what
awesome.
how you'd think. Like he's not just gliding; he's swimming.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
swims.
Absolutely.
Which is really cool.
Spoiler alert.
Nice.
Right? Because he's a river spirit, right?
Oh yeah, well, I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
No, I know.
We're talking about this like it's
Wait,
all
he's
every moment's happening at the same time. At the end, it's just like a minute later, right, in Chihiro's world and her parents or whatever. So all of these things are basically happening at the same time, right?
No,
It's later at the end.
I know, but what her parents think.
Her parents think it's the same
Th-
time.
yeah.
Oh,
they
they do.
They think it's a prank that their car is covered in leaves and stuff.
In dust, yeah.
Like,
Someone put dust in
someone
our
put
car.
Dust all over our car.
Those pranksters down this. Well, we're lost in the middle of the woods of this abandoned theme park. With no one
Greg and
else.
I were wondering, like, did people report them missing? Like, how long have they
The
been
movers
gone?
must have, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, unless they, they
They're
started
like,
without.
Maybe they just figured we have a key. They'll come by themselves.
Yeah,
I'm really
They
curious
realized
to
we
how
had a
long it
key. Maybe
was.
they went to go visit an abandoned
If
theme
your
park or
car
something.
is dusty though, it's been a while. You missed a mortgage payment.
also like plants grew in.
Yeah.
Like that. Plants grow pretty slowly. It had to have been
I
months.
mean, I feel like somebody would have checked in, right? You hear families moving to a new place.
Well, what period of time was this? Did they have phones?
I-
Or cell phones at
I don't
least?
think they had cell phones.
Yeah.
Maybe not cell phones.
Yubaba had a phone, but that was also a mystical world, so.
Their car looked kind of modern.
And her phone was
That's
just
true.
a skull.
Right?
Yeah,
right?
they definitely had phones.
Skulls have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have used a skull phone.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll cut this back in to earlier, but it's not really as relevant to what we're talking about now. But this seems to be paraphrasing what Miyazaki said about the pigs. Chihiro's parents turning into pigs symbolizes how some humans become greedy. At the very moment Chihiro says there's something odd about this town, her parents turn into pigs. There were people that turned into pigs during Japan's bubble economy of the 1980s. And these people still haven't realized they've become pigs. Once someone becomes a pig, they don't return to being human, but instead gradually start to have the body and soul of a pig. These people are the ones saying, we are in a recession and don't have enough to eat. This doesn't just apply to the fantasy world. Perhaps this isn't a coincidence, and the food is actually an analogy for a trap to catch lost humans. So that, I guess, is what he was going for. But yeah, and this is, the guy who made like the best kids movie ever. So
Yeah, after you watch some more Miyazaki movies, just watch his documentary. It's like
I'll have to watch it at the end.
you think he's just this like cheery, like happy dude that's just making these beautiful movies. No, he's very.
I wouldn't have thought whoever made this movie was a cheery, happy dude, to be honest.
That's true.
No,
Well,
yeah.
especially if you watch other movies, like
It's always the opposite with
okay.
artists. It's the like tortured, depressed people that make the really happy things, and then like the really happy, bubbly people make the really like dark art.
well, actually, yeah, this movie, if you're watching it as a kid, it looks like a happy, like cool movie. But if you're watching it as an adult, you pick up on so much more. That's like, ooh,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
got a lot of deeper meanings.
yeah. Which I won't go into yet because I don't know what point of the podcast we're at.
whenever we're all over the place, but in I think a good fun way.
Yeah,
I
I like this better than just like going like.
Yeah, this happens, then this happens. If there's anything specific that you want to talk about happening, we can do that. Let's get into No Face a little bit.
Yeah, I was about to say that there is something specific I want to talk about, and it's him.
Good, go ahead.
Him.
Is it him? Yeah.
Fair enough.
No.
Yeah.
Just him is what we want to talk about.
Yeah, the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, No
It's that
Face
Halloween
pod.
costume.
Honestly, it's all I can think about. Is that Halloween costume.
The first thing he saw when we watched it, he was like, he does have legs. I was like, why does that matter? He's like, so he could wear the sexy Halloween costume.
He has very
Very
noticeable legs.
Yes, we did.
And the way he like walks where his leg comes out too,
Yeah.
it is in like not a sexy way, but you could easily
Make it sexy.
make it sexy if you
So
want.
this is
You
what
have
you wanted to
problems,
talk
man.
about with No Face.
Yes.
For reference, we're talking about if you've ever seen it, it's a picture of No Face, but like a sexy woman's leg sticking out of the
Yeah.
dress thing.
Yeah, there's always like the terrible, sexy, whatever for Halloween costumes.
Who does this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
My future wife.
Yeah, there you go. It's probably a dude.
So why could No
Future
Face
best friend.
see Chihiro as she was walking across the bridge?
I took it as more of Chihiro noticed him.
He was looking
Or
at
her?
her though.
He definitely like stares her down.
Mm.
Well, she's also the only human there, right? So
She's invisible when she's
Yeah,
going
she's
across
not
the
supposed
bridge.
to be
None of the
seen by
other spirits
spirits.
can see
that's a
her.
good point.
Yeah.
So you can tell you guys rewatched this 2 days ago, and it's been a couple weeks for me.
It's very deliberate that like No Face notices her when
Yeah.
You
she's
wanna
crossing
know-
the bridge.
It's not my theory. It's a theory I saw that
Go for
I really think it's a good possibility that No Face is actually another human stuck in the spirit world. And he's been there for so long that he's like,
See,
part spirit.
I can see
we
that.
were also concerned with him because he has something else to do with greed.
Mm-hmm.
Because he starts eating people when they take what he's giving them. And we know
Yeah, so what he does is he offers somebody something small, and if they take it, he offers them more. And then if they take the second time, that's when he like freaks out and like tries to eat them. So like he gets really mad with Chihiro because he offers her the bath token and she takes it. And then he offers her because she needs it. Then he offers her the bucket of bath tokens and she said, I only need one. I don't need those. And he's like all confused about it. And then it happens again with what was the second time? Oh,
he offers a gold.
he offers her the gold, and
she
won't
says,
take it.
like, I don't need that. I
don't
need
it.
to go
I need
help
to-
my friend.
Yeah, I need to leave.
I need to leave. Yeah.
Yeah.
My friend's in trouble. I need to leave.
But with
I don't
everybody
need that.
else, like when the frog comes up, he offers him the one little nugget of gold,
Yeah.
and then he takes the gold, and then he offers him more, and he like immediately takes it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I noticed too, Chihiro always chooses like the word she always picks is I don't need. Like she's not taking things she doesn't need. And I feel like that very much has something to do with like greed and gluttony where you're taking more than you need because like you said, she does take the first bath token.
Because she needs that one.
She needs that one. It's
To
like,
help someone.
Yeah, because she was told to go get this one. You need this bath token, and they won't give it to her, and he gives it to her instead. So I don't know. I found that very interesting. I don't totally understand what's happening with it.
Well, I think it's another thing that has, depending on what layer you want to engage with it in, if you're a kid, then it is about, greed or whatever, not taking what you don't need, not taking what isn't yours, etc. But then maybe it's also just capitalism. I don't have a quote about that one, but it's not so much that No Face is greedy, it's that he needs to be like attended to, right? He needs the constant, not necessarily attention, maybe, but
Gratification.
he needs to be fed constantly.
That's what it was. He was feeding off of it, and like he while he was in the bathhouse, he got like bigger and bigger and like more full of like garbage.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
It's not that he needs money specific.
yeah, but
I
Chihiro
think
at
he
the
was
end said
greedy.
like he needed to be out of the bathhouse because something bad happens to him in there.
I think he was
and I think it's
gluttonous.
just because the
Right.
He was
whole
around all these
bathhouse
greedy
environment was full of greed and like people just
Right,
being
yeah.
lavish.
He
Yeah.
didn't start getting weird with it until he swallowed the frog, and the frog was greedy.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That kind of solidifies the theory that he's a human because what did the humans do right at the beginning? Immediately started eating everything, wouldn't
Right,
stop.
yeah.
What did he try to do the whole time? He was just trying to eat.
Yeah.
He didn't turn into a pig because he's already like, in the spirit realm. Probably has already eaten spirit food.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not totally sold on that idea. But before Haku comes along and saves Chihiro, as soon as she comes into the spirit world, she starts like disappearing. Like,
Yeah.
like I can't remember if she starts like going see-through or like actually disappearing. I think she goes see-through, and he comes and like feeds her something, and it's like, oh, if you don't eat this, you're gonna. I forget what he says. If you're gonna become,
You
a
have to
spirit
eat
or-
spirit food to stay in the spirit world.
Yeah. So I don't know what happens to you if you don't do that. They weren't very clear, but maybe you end up like No Face.
Nope. They
Oh,
they
and
don't
you
feel the need to
become
be.
a real-
Right?
You disappear, and that's why you're like he has no.
got
I
no
don't know.
face.
Maybe there's also another very hot take theory on the movie of like what it all represents. I don't know if you Ben, you might have seen this. Yubaba's bathhouse. It's a whole movie about prostitution, and Yubaba's bathhouse is actually a brothel, and it's like has to do with like prostitution, child prostitution, because hold on. They had some really good theories of why it's a metaphor of prostitution. So in the Edo period of Japan, bathhouses were a cover for brothels. And And guess what the madams of the establishments were called? Yubaba. And so Yubaba gets Chihiro to sign over her name and become Sen. In real life, the bathhouses, it was common for, quote, loose women to sign over their identities to the madams. And when looking at it from this perspective, the Chihiro's interactions with No Face gets a lot creepier because he keeps trying to like give her money to like almost like buy her and like make her his. And Miyazaki said a quote about this when in an interview when he was asked about it. He said, "I think the most appropriate way to symbolize the modern world is the sex industry. Hasn't Japanese society become like the sex industry?" So in other words, the conspiracy theorists would write, Spirited Away is a metaphor of prostitution.
That certainly seems.
It's an interesting thought. And he didn't say no. He was just like, well, yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Sure, whatever you want.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I feel like this is the kind of movie that can support the weight of that while also functioning as something that a kid can watch and get the, you know, adventure and colorful characters out of. And not that it's an action movie, but there is
some action.
I think a lot there. And then also obviously the quieter moments that are just pristine, beautiful constructions that are not like anything else in animation ever.
Mm-hmm.
I think kids would actually really like this movie. Like as I think about it, I don't know why I never really thought about it in like as a kids movie kind of thing, but
yeah, when we were saying kids movies, he was thinking about like tweens kind of, right? He wanted to make a movie for younger girls because he was seeing that they weren't really served by anything. He read a bunch of, I think they're like shoji, I guess the equivalent of like J14 here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he saw that it was mostly about, you know, boys and crushes and romance, but that's not what their whole worlds are about. There's a lot of other stuff that's going on with girls that age, and there's not really anything for them. So he wanted to make something for them. So it's not really for like little kids. It's for people sort of coming of age. And in that it definitely works as a coming of age movie. Yeah.
For sure. I do feel like
get a job and contribute to the economy or you'll be sent to hell.
I think you'll just be killed. Yeah. They didn't even mention eternal damnation, just that I think Yubaba will kill you if you don't get a job.
You get turned into like a pig
or
fed pig stuff.
Yeah. I do really like how they like display Chihiro like, you know, growing into herself in this movie. I think especially after watching it a second time, I really like when she first arrives at the bathhouse and Haku tells her like, oh, you got to go down to the boiler room and stuff. And she has to like actually go down the stairs to it. And the stairs are on like the outside of the building. And I mean, it's on the outside of the building going down over like a cliff, but it's not particularly like narrow or steep stairs. I think there might have been a railing.
Yeah.
They look like normal ass stairs. And she tries to like crawl down the stairs instead because she's too afraid. And like, it's like a whole ordeal to get down this fucking regular ass staircase. And then like 3/4 of the way through the movie, she decides like she's trying to get upstairs.
Well, she was going down the stairs too and she slipped a little, right? And then she like just ran screaming down the rest of the stairs.
The momentum, it got away from her.
Yes.
It's like when you're pinwheeling your arms and you got to keep making more motion to stay still.
Yes. And she screams the whole way, like a huge ordeal. And like 3/4 of the way through the movie, she decides she has to get upstairs. She can't take the elevator. So she fucking like climbs on like, she's running across fucking pipes and climbing through windows. Totally cool with it at that point.
Yeah, she just straight up Uncharted's outside of the building to get up to like try and save Haku at that point.
Yes.
So you can see she's much braver.
Yeah. Well, she cares about Haku. She cares about stuff now beyond herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I thought that was really a good way to do that. Especially like I said, it was a regular ass staircase, and she had to scream her way down the staircase.
Yeah.
And then later she can like fucking climb this ladder on the fucking to the roof of this building and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She gets to the bottom of the stairs, goes to the boiler room, and meets up with
Kamaji.
Right. Yeah.
Boiler
Okay.
Man.
I was gonna say Hamaji. I was like, I know that's wrong. Kamaji, with all his super long arms.
He's
Yeah, I
really
love that
cool.
character.
Yeah, he's great.
The character designs are awesome.
Yeah, and he's obviously one of the more notable, more memorable character designs because he has, I think 6
I think he has 6 arms, and they are of nondescript length.
Yes, they change. They go gadget as long as they need to grab the different things. At this point, you're not really sure what's happening. You eventually figure out kind of how this place functions. He's the guy who is making the water hot and mixing up the different herbs and whatever to make the different kinds of mixes for the baths. But you don't really know that at first. You just see this guy with spider arms,
like buckets and shit.
who's just
Working
got
machinery.
buckets and a huge wheel
with a
turning
mean
knobs.
mustache.
with an
mean mustache.
amazing mustache. He's
Commanding
got-
some little fuzzy guys.
Yeah, he's got soot sprites that are
Love those things.
bringing coal into a furnace for him, and you're just like, yes, all of this. And you have to ask him for a job, and do not take no for an answer. and all of it's just like, yes, that sounds correct.
Yeah.
That is what I have to do.
I'm gonna do that at a job interview.
Yeah.
I need a job now. No.
That's the other
I
thing
need a job
noticed
now.
With
Yeah, don't take no. They're going to try to intimidate you into not taking a job, but just keep asking.
That seems like a boomer kind of approach, doesn't it?
wicked bad.
Yeah, just just
show
go,
up
just
and
show
do
up
the
and
job.
ask for an application.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, what I did, I showed
What is
up
this
and I was like, hey, I can do this job. I'm a hard worker. And I got the job. You just got to do the same.
I worked there for 40 years. I married the boss's daughter. It was fine.
I also really like in the beginning of this movie, I noticed all the direction that Haku gives to Chihiro, she fucks it up.
Yeah.
She does literally every single thing he asks her to do, she does it wrong. She can't hold her breath across the bridge.
Well, he tells her not to go to Yubaba and demand Kamaji give you a job.
No matter what happens, make sure Kumaji gives you a job.
I mean, she did
And
ask
he's
Kamaji
like,
for the job, and
not
then he
giving you a
helped
job.
her. So maybe that was what
Yeah, but-
he had intended. I don't know.
It might have been, but Haku's direction was very, very clear.
Yeah, don't talk
have
to Yubaba.
Get a job from the Boiler Man, or Yubaba's gonna kill you.
Classic child.
And he's like, "Do not. That's it. You have to do that, and do not take no for an answer." He's gonna try to tell you no. Don't take no for an answer. She asks like 2 times. He says no both times. And she's like, well, fuck. I guess I'll go see Yubaba.
Guess it's time to die.
But that's the other thing. She does screw up, I feel like, everything he says. But by the end of the movie, I don't remember at what point, but I remember she gets some kind of direction from somebody again towards the end, and she does it. She's good at shit by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
She got the train tickets and went all the way to see Yubaba's sister, and like,
Yep.
she was fearless at that point.
She brought everybody there.
Mhm.
She's the one who destroys the slug inside Haku in the process of getting that tablet to bring back to Yubaba's sister.
Yeah, Kamaji asks her tells her to go stomp on the slug. She does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She takes care of the baby. Like, I think didn't the baby like grab her by the leg and?
Oh yeah,
was
she
just like, I have
competently
germs, and then-
handles
Baby
that.
threatens to break her arm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is terrifying.
Baby voiced by Tara Strong, famous voice actor, does Harley Quinn in the Arkham games and
Oh.
a bunch of other stuff. She's one of the Powerpuff Girls. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
So
She does a ton of stuff.
she's in everything,
Yeah.
but playing a giant baby.
Giant.
Hmm.
So yeah, that sequence is cool with Kamaji. Like I said, we don't have to go beat by beat, but I did want to point out how
I
awesome
do like
Kamaji
that
is.
the first time you meet him. I feel like that's when I really got drawn into the movie.
Yep.
Not that the beginning's not good, but it is like kind of typical. You know, like those parents, you're like, oh, okay, yep, they're going to the haunted theme park. As soon as they start smelling the food, I was like, they're gonna eat this food and turn to pigs, right? Is that what's about to happen? You know, they eat the food, they turn to pigs, and
Yep.
it was still very good. But at that point, I was enjoying it. But it was once she meets Kumaji and like has all this stuff happening, and I'm like, whoa, okay, this world's like a lot deeper than what I originally thought. Like, there's some cool stuff. I got to know more.
Can we talk about the rivers? Because
Sure.
I'm just kind of like confused with all the magical stuff that's happening with all the rivers in the movie.
So the river in the theme park, they like filled.
No, they were building.
Chihiro says they like the river that Haku is. They filled in the river to build condos, right?
Yes.
So that's another like
Right. So that's the
So
thing.
that's the first time
him
we hear
just
about
pointing
that
like,
river.
Yeah.
don't
But first-
develop housing.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. But anyway, so like when they first go they cross over into the spirit world, they're saying, oh, it looks like they were building a river here, right? And then obviously when she turns around to go back, the river's too large. She can't cross it.
Yeah.
And then all the rain comes, and now instead of a river, it's a sea, right?
Yep.
And then, obviously there's the river spirit that she helps that was covered in dirt and the polluted one. And then, Haku's the river spirit. So like, what's going on with the rivers? What does all this mean?
In Japanese folklore, rivers have like a spirit, a river spirit associated with them. Mm-hmm. So it's like a pretty common thing for like, say the whatever river has like that spirit like looking after it.
Yeah.
So that's like a pretty common. Yeah.
Yeah, but how about the rivers like going into the spirit world? Like, why are they able to cross it easily and they can't go back? And why did it get bigger with all the rain? And
well, that's just spirit world logic, right?
Yeah,
it's not going to tell you.
Some people say that bridge was like another theory of the movie was just like that was actually Chihiro dying and her crossing over to the afterlife. So that bridge was like the bridge into the spirit realm, and then the train was her like moving on, or like that was
because it's only like shades that are on the train.
Yeah.
Aside from them.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too.
And
No Face takes the train too and like accepts that.
It doesn't come back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think that's fair.
The bridge definitely has like something.
Well, she can't breathe on it, right?
Yeah.
Which means, and if she breathes, they find out she's a human, which means no one else is breathing on it.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's a good point.
But yeah, to your point, like it's kind of maybe not normal, but fairly standard setup in the beginning, despite all like the obvious like Japanese consumerist subtext. But yeah, once you see Kamaji, you're like, this is different, and then she actually goes up through the bathhouse to get to Yubaba, takes the elevator with the radish spirit, with the best bro, that radish spirit, and then talking to Yubaba, and then that's when stuff kind of like really dives into, wow, this is just really unique in a cool way.
Yes.
Because Yubaba isn't just plainly evil, right? There's some kind of code and rules to what she's doing, even though she seems to delight in intimidating, scaring Chihiro. It gets like super motherly and stuff when a giant baby comes bursting through the wall and messes up her hair.
Well, it's like classic grumpy old person.
Yeah, because she's like nice-ish to Chihiro later too. I wouldn't say nice, but
yeah,
she like when like the stink spirit shows up, she is concerned with helping Chihiro help the spirit. I know, I guess it's a customer, so she's helping the spirit, but she doesn't like just leave Chihiro out to dry on it.
No, she isn't just, she's like a witch, and she's introduced as, if you go to this person, she's gonna kill you, but it's more just like a tough boss.
Yes.
Ultimately.
Been there.
It's just a Portuguese parent.
Sure.
Been there.
Gonna steal your name and your soul.
In Yubaba at the end like wants to help her with the with finding her parents, but she says like the contract says you need to do this
exactly
as a last, and she almost like seems like she feels bad about it.
I think I disagree there because I feel like she only feels I don't even know if the contract. She like tells Haku like I'll let her go, but I get to test her one more time.
I think she says she has to test her.
I think
before she leaves, that's the deal they make, is that she'll test her one last time.
Okay, so
then when she comes back and the baby's Bo, I think, whatever, the baby tells her like,
I won't like you anymore if you do this. Anymore.
So all the people in the bathhouse are all pissed off at her.
Yeah, and she does.
So she's
say,
like, "Oh yeah, okay."
Like, I have to do this.
We have like it says.
So she could have made it an easier test, right?
Yeah, my
like
thought
she could have
was,
amended it.
She didn't care as much about. It wasn't like I want to be nice to Chihiro as much as like my kid is not going to love me anymore if I do this.
True.
All my employees fucking hate me. Not like, oh, I feel bad now about this.
Yeah, but still, she's not like some huge evil witch. She's just kind of like, seems to be like, maybe she just has to be that ruthless to have the best bathhouse in the spirit worlds.
Maybe.
Yeah, the bathhouse business in the spirit world is cutthroat.
It is
just like real life. Jeff Bezos.
This feels like heavy capitalism.
Yeah.
He's gonna shut this down.
You're right. I wasn't even thinking, but yeah, right.
Yeah, there was that part. All the employees in the bathhouse have to like pee in bottles and stuff because they don't get
Well,
bathroom breaks.
they have to pee in the baths after the customers leave and then bathe in it.
Yeah, when they're doing the baths, there's like a little camera that's watching them that keeps making up violations that they're doing, even though they're not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, one thing I the time frame that I think this takes place in, I think it's post World War II Japan.
I just assumed it was contemporary with when it came out, but you could be right too.
Just because in Japan, when like it was very prosperous, they opened up a bunch of amusement parks. And then I think after the wars, a lot of them closed down because people didn't have money.
Wait. No, it's not.
So I
It's
thought that was more
present
like
day
post
because
80s
Oh,
and
really?
90s.
yeah, because the father says something about they opened up a bunch of these parks in the 90s and they all went under.
You're right.
So it's got to be like when it came out in 2000 or whatever
Yeah.
it was.
When was World War II?
This was 1980?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess that
No,
makes
80s,
sense.
87?
45.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Oh.
Jeez.
Oh, wait, I was like, yeah. And I was like, wait, no, I was alive at the end of that.
No wonder you guys are so
It's like
bad at chronology.
87.
Yeah, history is not my forte.
Our grandfathers were all like 45, 70 when they were fighting in it. Yeah. So I want to give like a little bit of time to talking about the stink spirit thing, because that's when maybe the most blunt environmentalism comes into play, when she's just pulling garbage out and garbage out of this stink spirit.
Yeah.
But the whole sequence is so awesome when it's everyone can smell it coming, like Yubaba can smell it coming from across the town, basically. And you're just like,
She had a huge nose.
yeah,
She does have a huge nose, yeah.
And it's just it's just a situation where everyone's like, oh my God, the stink spirit's coming. And you're like, that means nothing to me, but I'm so stoked to see what's about to happen
Yes.
because it's clearly a big deal to them. And then that sequence is awesome. Just all that Chihiro has to do, it flooding the room and her having to climb up and then pulling everything out of it. And then, like you said, Yubaba helping to direct them with the kind of semaphore flags
Yes.
to heave and
I think all
hoe.
the spirits cheer at the end too, and there's like the way they animate them cheering is like really kind of comical and
It's
stuff
really
and
funny,
lighthearted.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
I-
just,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, so they're just pulling all the trash out of it. And then at the end, it turns out it's a river spirit. They're inside like this sort of liminal water space, her and this mask that like looks maybe also like an old man's skull.
Yeah.
And it tells her good job and gives her medicine that makes you throw up. And then,
Dipicac.
yeah.
Yeah, it was,
right, yeah.
it was never very clear about what that was supposed to do.
Yeah. And then
It's like just a brown ball, and her first thought is like, "I'm gonna try to
eat
eat some of
this.
this, see what
and it's
happens."
gross.
And she didn't like it. Yeah, it
No.
didn't
It's
do
gross.
anything
It makes
for
you
her.
throw up.
But it
Yeah.
fixes everything.
Yeah. So that comes into play thematically later with, purging and all, but it flies out and just like such an explosion of like that really quiet moment. And then they're like, make way, open the doors and stuff. And then a huge dragon just like flies around and flies out the doors and out into the sky.
Oh, man, this-
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know, man. Great movie.
It is great.
So cool.
I love this face that
I was
Chihiro
about
makes.
to say,
Yes,
when
it's the best
Stink
part.
Spirit arrives is
She's
one of
just
the
like,
animated
And all her
times
hair stands
where
up.
they get animated, where they're like, the smell of the spirit like pushes her hair back and her face.
And
back
Lynn brings
stuff.
the food and the food goes bad.
Yes, it goes by the food
Yeah.
and the food
Yeah.
like dies.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, Yubaba having, I don't know who's setting the rules, but having to abide by the rules. She's at the door to greet it through gritted teeth and like a forced smile, and her hair's crazy too.
And yeah, she's telling Chihiro, take care of the customer.
Yeah, take their money.
Yeah, take the nice customer's money.
Yeah,
The customer's always right.
exactly.
Not going to turn away anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is just about how bad it is to work in retail.
Yeah.
I also appreciated how Lynn was, they assigned her the shitty job of cleaning the giant bath. And she's like, we're going to use this herbal scrub because the water's real murky and you can't see the gunk that's all left at the bottom.
Yes.
I was like, oh,
Also
feel
feels
that.
like working in retail.
You're right, yeah.
It's like,
It's a bad retail job.
yeah, it's like, we're just gonna mask
Just hide all
that.
the mess. I'm not going to clean that.
No, just
We'll
sweep
get
it
paid enough
under
for that.
the counter, sweep it under the aisles. Yeah.
One thing that I found interesting, Lynn, she's got to be a human, right?
No, I think she's not.
She is like the only one of the few characters that look human. You know,
everyone else is kind of a toad person, right?
Well, she did that weird. I think she's like some kind of like weird spirit
Well, she eats
toad
the,
thing
the
because she
newt
like
thing.
ate the newt like a frog.
Yeah, I think she's some kind of spirit, but she's definitely the most human-y.
Yeah, her and all the girls in that room were all like human-esque.
the girls
Humanoid.
didn't look like her though. The girls were very clearly not.
They weren't as hot.
They weren't as toadish.
I think it was their
right?
face. Their face.
Yeah.
They had like non-human faces.
They were more cartoony than
They were
she
more-
was.
yeah.
You know.
So that for me, so that's Susan Egan, who does the voice for Lynn, who also did the voice for Meg and Hercules,
Oh, I
Who,
knew she sounded
yeah.
familiar.
who for my childhood money is the most attractive voice in voice acting. So
I was just say I just thought it was interesting that she seemed like she could be a human, and they don't really like touch upon that though.
yeah. Yeah, and she fulfills like a big sister kind of role too, and she's the one who kind of takes Chihiro under her wing, and also is kind of, I guess maybe in a big sister way, sort of tough on her at times, but still ultimately is trying to help her.
Yeah.
Like, helps her mature.
I like how at the
Yeah.
end she was like, "I'm sorry, I called you a dope."
Yeah.
And I was wondering if that was just like a bad like Japanese translation, or if it was just
I
like actually.
Have to assume so. So the translation is to lip movement, not to like the actual words.
Yeah.
So I assume it's like a cooler line there. That I'm sorry, I called you a dope.
Yeah.
It was just so funny though. I
was-
kind of
was
hope
fun.
it is
It is
like
really
that.
funny.
Honestly,
But
though,
I was like, oh, that's got to be a translation thing.
I don't know because there is like some comedy in there, and
Yeah.
all the little
Oh, yeah.
comedic things they put
Oh,
in
yeah.
there landed so hard for me.
I think the eyes of a lot of the spirits, like all the ducks that are just have like
I love
Yes.
that.
no eyelided, just huge, unblinking
Mhm.
eyes that just like are idly sitting in the baths or whatever. Anytime they show those, instant comedy.
Yeah, every time the ducks showed up, I was like, oh, look at those ducks, Greg. I love those
Yeah.
ducks.
The
little-
radish too.
The
And
radish is
spirits
great.
Killed me.
The spirits are great.
Aw.
When they
yeah.
decide they don't want to work anymore because
Yeah.
Chihiro like helped one of them, they're all pretending to get like squished by the soot they're carrying.
And they eat the little like sprinkles that
Yeah, they
Lynn
feed
brings
them like
them.
sprinkles and shit. And then when she comes back, when she kills the slug too, and they're
They're
the
reenacting.
Yeah.
they're reenacting the slug her like little ritual to ward off the bad luck and stuff. I was
Mhm.
dying. It's so funny.
I did think at the end with like, I don't know, there was a lot of things that were pretty anticlimactic. Like I thought the end with No Face where the granny's just like, why don't you stay here with me? And they're like, oh, okay. And
did
like that's
notice-
the end of that.
When she leaves to go to Zeniba, I feel like the movie picks up pace real quick all of a sudden. Like,
Yeah.
And then Haku, she's just like, wait, I do know you. Like, this was your name. Your river got filled in.
Guys,
And he's like, oh, this is great. This is totally fine. Like, no problem.
She's riding Haku through the air, and that's what he moves like water, and she remembers being.
Yeah,
like, swept
she's
by
been
the
having
water.
like flashes of memory of riding on. It turns out Haku at a much younger age when she
Yes.
fell into a river.
So she's
when she was
riding on him, and she
younger.
remembers, I fell in this river, and something saved me. It must have been you. It was the Kohaku River. She tells him that has to be your name because you have to remember your name in order to be able to like be free from the bathhouse. And like he's so shocked by this as she's riding him, he turns back into a human, but she's still riding him, and he's going through the air, kind of like a torpedo, with her just like riding him still. And I am dying. Like it's so funny looking, and it's animated really well too. Though I think that's what makes it so
It's not
funny.
supposed
She
to
doesn't
be
like
funny, but
continue
it just
riding him.
feels
They
so...
fall, and it's like
For a
the
little while,
emotional
she's-
climax of
I know,
like the
but it
masterpiece of
kills me.
21st century animation.
It kills me though because she's sitting on him for a little bit
does.
until
For a
she
little
starts.
bit, yeah.
I think
It's like a weird version of ET in front of the moon.
That'd be a great
what
gift.
kills me though
Need to
is
clip
because
that.
it's animated really well. So I'm like, if someone was a dragon and I was riding them and then they turned back into a human, this is how it would look.
Yeah.
Like exactly. This is exactly what it'd be like.
I guess she was excited to tell him, but if she knew he was going to not be a dragon, they'd fall to Earth. She probably would have waited until they got to ground.
Yeah.
I wonder if the person animating that like did it slightly differently. They were like, "Oh, let me make it look like he's like, flying in a better way." And then Miyazaki was like, "No,
No.
he'd fall like a torpedo."
Like a dead weight.
After that, the rest of that sequence is like staggeringly beautiful with them falling and their tears like going up in the air.
It is, but like I
Past
said,
the-
I did
past the baby mouse. And
I did
the-
feel a little
harpy
disappointed that they were just
bird.
like, oh, that's your name. You're the river. You were filled in. And like they built apartments. And he's just like, that's fine. I'm going to be totally okay now. And it's like, oh. all
Well,
right.
what
I
did
was
you
still-
want from him?
I don't know. I think it was just non-traditional that this just got pulled out of nowhere. Like the whole like I fell into the river, your river got filled in, all that. The fact that there's no hints towards that's happen. There's no way for us as an audience to know, like, ever be able to figure this out kind of thing.
Yeah, it did kind of.
I don't think that it's bad, but it is, like
No.
I said, kind of non-traditional. Like, I feel like that's not something you'd normally
I kind of
expect.
want to watch it again and see if there are any
On
subtle
the second
hints.
time watching it, I was looking to see if I could have
nothing.
missed them.
Yeah.
I'm not like super observant,
If there was,
But I feel like if you were thinking about it, it's probably not there.
and I think it's still fine. I honestly I really like the ending.
it just
it did-
happened too fast. I think.
The end did come a bit fast. And the whole thing was a little weird. After watching it a second time, I'm happier with where No Face ends up, to be honest.
That whole sequence is really cool because, and we should talk a little bit in detail about the train ride sequence, which is one of maybe the most iconic image from the movie with them sitting on the train, her, No Face, and the morphed baby into the mouse and the harpy into the very tiny bird.
So going into this movie, the only thing I knew was a picture of her on the train with No Face, who is literally just, if you haven't seen it, he looks like if you wanted to be a ghost for Halloween, you put a black sheet over your head and put a mask on.
Yep.
So he's like this typical looking spirit. There's other spirits on the train. That's it. I was like, Spirited Away. It's going to be a bunch of spirits. It has something to do with a train.
I
I
wonder
think
where they're
Spirited away.
going.
Spirits get on a train, they go away.
I think you said it was gonna be spooky, like some kind of haunted movie, and I was like, no, that's not it.
So yeah, that's what I thought. But the train scene is really cool, especially too because they like shift biomes essentially.
Yeah,
Because Zaniba lives
that's
in like a swamp.
that's like one of the moments where it's like I can't put my finger on it. I don't know why, and this comes after No Face's sort of purging rampage as Chihiro baits him to leave from his most giant gluttonous. She gives him the medicine, and he starts throwing up and shrinking in size, and he's super angry and chasing Chihiro. And then it goes into this like almost silent movie segment where they get on the train and it's just passing landscapes of flooded, you imagine maybe fields with like tiny islands dotting it with houses, and oh my God, it's just
It was just an excuse for him to paint.
maybe, yeah, but it works on me. I don't know.
It was
awesome.
very pretty.
It doesn't have much to do with anything. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
And it feels like, I don't know, that kind of Zen mindset you can get in on like a really scenic train ride. And they just like, all of a sudden they just give you that. It's so
I
good.
like too because when they arrive at where Zaniba lives to return the seal, that it is like a different biome. You're in a swamp now. It's dark, and the first thing you see is this like light post that's got like a
That was really cool.
foot that like hops,
Yep.
and it's very different than what you've seen in the bathhouse. And I feel like when you're in the bathhouse, once Kamaji comes and everything, you're like, wow, this is like a really crazy world someone's built. And then you go here and you're like, oh, never mind, they fucking built 2 worlds. Here's another one. And like you already still had like questions about the bathhouse, like this world. You're in that mode where you want more of it. And then they bring you somewhere else and you're like, oh, great. Now I need to know everything about this fucking place. Like, this is so cool.
That train ride was just like what I imagine might happen if, I guess this solidifies one of the theories, but what I imagine would happen if you were to die and like on your way to wherever you go after you die, it's just like this beautiful, like mystical landscape of like going across the water without tracks and stuff like that. I got that like vibe of like,
Yeah.
Well, it was also interesting that she had all those like ghostly like spirits that were kind of just like riding the train and getting off at stops, and I don't know. It was an interesting vibe.
Yeah, and honestly, anytime they show the train, once it's flooded out there, and it's just times that Chihiro's just looking at the train way under her, go across this sort of endless sea. I don't know, man. Good movie.
it's apparently really hard to
Just-
get tickets to the train too.
I was really
Yeah,
bothered that he
apparently
gave her
very
4 tickets. She didn't
Yeah.
need 4 tickets.
Well, he's like, I'm not gonna.
He knew.
I'm not gonna fucking
He
go
knew.
anywhere.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
Wait, before I
Yeah,
forget.
but Lynn wanted them.
Oh,
She's not going anywhere either.
Yeah, I guess she's not, right? She's going to live there forever.
one thing that I want to like watch again, also to look at is, Yubaba mentioned like about No Face, who let him in here, as if he wouldn't have been able to come in
Mm-hmm.
if he wasn't invited, like a vampire into a house.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I wonder like what the deal with that is.
Yeah, because they kept saying he was a monster, which is weird because like a lot of the other spirits are like definitely monster-like, but he was a monster, you know.
Yeah,
so
like,
like,
why could the stink spirit just walk on in?
I feel
Yeah.
like it seems like there's a lot of rules in the spirit world.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just one of them. You know, you can't just go into places kind of thing.
But they didn't tell the stink spirit to go away, and he smelled like butt.
Yeah, well, he's a paying customer.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No Face could have been. You never know.
Okay, one thing I have a big question
Oh
about.
yeah.
maybe
Well, he was
someone's-
giving him gold. So
Yeah, right.
They thought he was giving him gold.
well, he was giving them dirt, but they thought it was gold.
Yeah. So he could have. Yeah.
Okay. My biggest question with the whole movie, I think, and maybe someone smarter than me can answer it. Why does she call you Baba Granny in the end?
I think that has to do more with Japanese culture of like, it's more of like a term for like that you referred to someone that you know that's an older, like much older lady. I'm guessing the direct translation is something like more towards the term, I think it's like obasan in Japanese, which is like,
So it doesn't have anything to do with her sister then. So for anyone, for our listeners, when she goes to the swamp, it's to meet with Yubaba's twin sister Zaniba, who is exactly the same as her but much friendlier. And Zaniba says, "Please call me Granny" instead of Zaniba. So she's calling her Granny, and then she comes back to see the angrier, meaner twin, and is immediately calling her Granny. And I was like, not confused by it, but I was like, this is something that I don't, you know what I mean? Because this is the end of Chihiro's journey, and she's, grown. And I was like, is there some significance to this?
I think, yeah, I mean, it's a recognition that like Chihiro is choosing to think of Yubaba in this whole experience in sort of a positive light, right?
it's like
Oh,
an
okay. Yeah,
endearment,
yeah,
like
yeah.
term of
Yeah,
endearment.
it's more of a term of endearment. Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Mhm.
That makes sense to me.
Yep. And real quick, when they're at Zaniba's and everyone's like making stuff at the table, I just love that I think it's a shot of when it's just on Chihiro Sen, you still see Zaniba's nose because it's just so big.
Yes.
It's just coming out of the side of the frame.
Yes. It's so obnoxious.
Even when the camera, quote
Yes.
unquote, turns,
Yes,
you can
'cause
still see her nose.
as a viewer, if you didn't show me her nose, I would not have thought twice. Like, hey, her nose should be here.
They like depicted what an actual camera, like you wouldn't be able to turn the camera out of the frame and get the nose out.
The second watch through of this movie, Greg looked at Yubaba and was like, "There's not a character I've ever seen that I do not like drawn as much as this lady. Like she is horrible."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, a really good thing to point out is Yubaba and Zaniba. A thing that you do in animation is draw simple characters because you have to draw them so many times, and it's a 2-hour long movie, and here's a main character that has however many wrinkles and specific hairdo and these crazy exaggerated features.
They were just unpleasant to look at.
Probably a little
In the
bit.
best way.
So that big like wart thing.
Intentionally unpleasant.
Yes.
Yeah, in animation, you don't draw wrinkles like that. Even
No,
if it's an old person,
definitely
you'll do
not.
like one line on the face and like white hair because that's so much work. But
So detailed.
yeah,
It is
She
also
does a lot,
interesting
too.
because
She's
she is
moving.
like super unpleasant, right? Like as a character in the beginning, like she's the the villain basically. But then she has a twin sister who's looks exactly like her, but is actually like really nice.
Yeah.
the animation of her turning into a bird was
Yeah.
That was
so cool.
When she just like tucks it in
Yeah.
her arms and like
She
wraps
just,
it around her head.
Yeah, wraps her like clothes around her, and now she's a bird.
Now she just
Yeah,
uses
she's
her
a bird.
cloak to fly.
Yeah, she flaps her arms with like her. It's like if I wrap my coat around
Yeah.
myself and like try to flap
try to
my
fly.
arms. Yeah.
Yeah, we should mention Yubaba and Zaniba, voiced by Suzanne Plachette, who is like an iconic Hollywood legend. This was her last movie before she died in 2008.
That's a good way to go.
I guess.
I mean,
She was just spirited away.
I was gonna
oh,
say.
Jesus. I mean, like 7 years later, but yes.
well, the movie wasn't popular at first, and once it did, I think one thing that keeps everyone really interested in the movie is they tell you just enough. Like you don't know just enough to keep you wanting to like keep finding out more or think about like, oh, why does this happen? And they keep giving you like just enough to like pull you along slowly throughout the movie. That's one thing I really noticed was like, man, there's like a couple of things I don't know, but they tell you just enough.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think those are always like my favorite movies or just stories in general, is when the world is built so well that you do get a lot from it, but you're also left with like a lot of these questions that I don't want to say they don't matter, but they're not like significant to the plot. It's like you just have more questions about, oh, how does this world work? Like, you know, we're wondering like, you know, why can't No Face go in the building, you know, and there's
The bridge.
yeah, there's like probably 50 answers you could make up that all seem good. So you really don't need an answer given in the movie, but like,
There's just so
and
many
now you're
questions.
wondering like, oh, what other rules are there in the spirit world? And like
Why are they only awake at night and they sleep during the day? And yeah, I was always also like, I don't know why I've been thinking so much about the ferry that comes across, and like
that you see for 7 seconds.
yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, basically yeah. But
Yeah.
there's like you
Wait, I
don't
remember that.
you don't see it's at the beginning when she tries to go back across the
Yeah.
river and it's too big.
Yeah.
The ferry
Right
comes
before
across.
Haku finds her to give her food.
The boat. Okay, I was
Yeah.
thinking of like an actual
Oh.
flying ferry, and I was like,
Oh,
oh,
no. The ferry comes
Yeah.
across and the spirits start coming out, but you don't see them. You only see their masks. And then like as they get off the boat, they start like coming like into view.
Yeah,
And it's just really interesting.
Yeah,
just
so good.
enough.
But it's like, were they
Just
coming
enough.
from the human
You're
world,
totally
right?
right.
And
Yeah.
you couldn't see them in
Like,
the human
are
world.
they humans or?
Yeah, are
Even,
they
like,
humans
those-
that
yeah.
are being like
All the
ferried across
staff-
the river, right?
Are very like, it's a varied amount of staff, and there's so many things. I'm like, well, why is there this talking frog?
Why are they all frogs?
Well, and there
Yeah,
some of them are,
why
like,
why is there actual frogs when there's people who are kind of frogs?
and called frogs?
Right.
And why is this frog work and not human work? Like she talks about that sometimes.
Yes, and like, you know, there's those kind of questions, and like,
Why are frogs so good at this?
They just are. It's water based, I guess. I don't know.
Sure.
I think that's really well observed that there, yeah, it just gives you just enough and it makes you want to really luxuriate in this world. It's just so, I don't know, vibrant and really just every bit of it just looks so good. Yeah, I don't know. Good
Miyazaki's
movie.
world building skills are just incredible.
Yeah.
Every movie pretty much has like encompasses like that entire world and really puts you into that world and makes you want to know more.
I think those are the best kind of movies when they handle it like that, when it's not, there's no huge bars of text at the beginning of the movie. Oh, every night at whatever time, spirits come to this bathhouse. And
You picking on Star Wars?
that's different. That works with the style, but you
Oh,
know.
we could do an episode on that. I still haven't seen Star Wars.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What?
We'll get that in. We will get that
I don't
in
really
for
want
sure.
to, but
Oh my god.
That's all right.
I don't have enough time to talk about how disappointed I am in you.
We'll only do like one Star
I've been
Wars
hearing it my
movie
whole
at
life.
a time.
Like I said, Portuguese parents.
We'll only do one Star Wars movie at a time. But yeah, no, it doesn't. It trusts the audience, right? It trusts the audience, and it doesn't condescend. And it goes. It just tells you this is what's happening, and it trusts that you're going to keep up, and you do because it gives you just enough, right? Yeah.
So yeah, those are my favorite because then I feel like you can get together like this and everyone's going to have a little bit of a different idea about a bunch of different parts of the movie and you can kind of like talk about it.
Your imagination has to fill in the blanks.
Yeah. And then I
Yeah.
love to do this because my imagination is not very good. So I have my ideas. They're usually wrong. And then I hear all these other ones. I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah. This is way better. Now the movie it gets is just better.
Yeah, it makes you want to watch it again. I feel like anytime you talk about this movie, it's just like, oh yeah, no, I didn't think of that. I'm going to go watch it with that in my mind now
Yes.
and think about how obsessed Miyazaki is with calling other people pigs.
There is a lot of greed in that movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And different forms of it too, from just straight up gluttony to a sort of like neediness based greed to fit in or conform. And yeah, it's
Yeah, some people
Good movie.
said it was like a good representation of the seven sins, seven
Sure.
deadly sins.
I was kind of
Like
thinking
Yubaba,
that.
pride.
yeah, you got avarice in there for sure. We all know that.
Now I'm thinking that the movie ended so quickly, like it all wrapped up so quickly because he spent the whole beginning like building this world and like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this over here and this, and he's like, oh shit, now it's 2 hours long. Let's wrap this up.
Well, that was, I guess, one of the production notes is it was going to be, if they filmed everything he wrote for it, about 3 hours long. So they had to cut a bunch of stuff out. And it's funny, I know, like, okay, where's the director's cut?
Yeah,
And
director's
it's
cut.
like,
I'll pay.
well, it probably would have taken them like 2 more years to animate another hour of it, right? But
Do it now. It'll
Do it
be a
now.
big hit.
I mean, it would be.
They've had 20, right? Like,
Yeah, you've had 20 years.
get on
But it's funny to hear him talk about it because, again, this is just the way Miyazaki works. He said, yeah, we had to make it plainer and cut out most of the eye candy. And you're like, oh, okay.
Wait.
So to you, this movie looks boring, I guess.
It's like, great. Now the movie looks like shit.
The most amazing looking movie released in the last 20 years.
We were going to make it the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, but I guess it'll just be like, I don't
This
know,
will have
stunning.
to
It was going to be by far the best looking movie. Now it's just by a little bit the best looking movie.
do. Or is that like somebody that's like embarrassed about their work? Like, oh, well, I made this and, it's not very good.
It
but,
doesn't
like...
strike me as that.
No, I don't
I
think
feel like
so.
he would just be like,
Seems pretty good.
you don't want to watch it? Whatever, fuck you.
Yeah. Oh, man. But hey, good movie. Anything else we want to hit on?
Not besides everybody needs to, if you haven't watched this movie or it's been 20 years since you've seen it, you need to go back and watch it again. And if you've only seen this movie, you need to go and watch the rest of Miyazaki's movies.
And if you've made it 80 minutes in and you haven't watched this movie before, you're clearly interested. So just throw it on.
Yeah, you could have almost watched the whole movie.
We're not
Yeah,
that
you'd be-
entertaining.
You'd be almost done.
Yeah.
I think Haku is getting attacked by a bunch of flying paper birds right now.
Yes.
If you had started at the same time.
I feel
We should have tried to cue it up and just do a running commentary. But
I feel like I have
Next
a long
time.
list of
Next time.
movies
For the
to
Patreon.
watch, and I feel like I'm very picky. I value my time very highly. I won't go see just any movie, to be honest. Ben over there, and
whoa.
I won't go see just
Jeez.
anything. And I would definitely recommend this movie. If you have a backlog of movies, move this one up quite a bit.
Just because my first film back from quarantine was Cruella doesn't mean I have low standards for what I see
So
in theaters.
embarrassing.
Sure, it was available on Disney Plus, but I wanted to go to the movies.
It's hot and it's ready.
It's hot already. Yeah, we stopped by Little Caesars on the way and said, I don't care.
I don't care
Take it up off the floor. I'll eat it.
Don't describe the quality of it. I just want to know that it's hot and it's ready.
Called up Disney and went, movie? Okay. Tell me where. I'll be there. Anyway. Okay, if there's nothing else, let's transition. So this movie won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature at the 75th Academy Awards. Came out in 2001, but in America in 2002, or we're off by 1 year on that. I don't know. I think it is that's what it is, right? Came out 2001, dubbed American version in 2002. Something like that. It won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. It's to this day still the only non-English language animated film that's hand-drawn to win the award. Other accolades, it's in the top 10 of the British Film Institute's top 50 films for children up to the age of 14. Weird qualifier. In 2016, it was voted the 4th best film of the 21st century by the BBC, and that was as voted on by 177 film critics from around the world. It was the highest ranking animated film on the list. In 2017, it was also named the 2nd best film of the 21st century so far by the New York Times.
Wow.
So, yeah, without
That's
any
huge.
qualifiers. Yeah. So it's just, everyone loves this movie. It changes lives. I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever do a better movie than this on the podcast. Trying to figure out what to do for Thanksgiving. We might do Paul Blart Mall Cop. That'll be a contender. So, yeah, what a great movie. Are you happy that you finally saw it? Are you happy that you finally revisited it?
Yeah.
Oh
Definitely.
yeah, I was very, very happy with it. Like I said, I've already watched it a second time. I would not be surprised if I watched this again. I think I want to go watch some of his other movies after this one, honestly.
Absolutely, yeah. And obviously, you're never regret viewing of this film.
No, I've seen it within the past year.
Was that the first time
Already.
in like a theater
Yep.
you'd seen it? So cool. I'm really happy we did that.
Same.
We all would recommend it. I'm just going through the list, but yeah, obviously we'd all recommend it, right?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So this won the second ever animated feature award at the Academy Awards. The movie that won the first one was Shrek. So this category,
Well-deserved.
Whoa.
this category was designed by the Academy, and everyone thought, "Oh my God, Pixar and Disney, they're going to win every year." You'd already had the first two Toy Stories at this point, and what else had come out at that point? Maybe the first Incredibles. So no, I'm off on that. Whatever, you know what I mean. So everyone thought like Disney and Pixar, they're just going to run away with it. And the first 2 years, Shrek, which changes American animated movies for about 15 years
Changes
or so.
America.
It changes America.
Ever.
Yeah.
Not overstating it, changes animated movies in the course of it, sends Disney into probably their lowest period in animated movies
Deep
since
depression.
pre-golden era in the 80s. Yeah, so the next year is this far in hand-drawn film, and I'm sure Disney gets on the horse after that. But it's just funny the first two don't do it.
Academy's like, wow, we are wrong. It's not just gonna be Disney and Pixar every year, and then every year after that it was Disney and Pixar.
Seriously, it's going to be Shrek and Shrek 2 and the third. So in honor of that, this game is called Shrek It Away. It's a pretty short one. And we play games at the
There's
end.
always a game.
You haven't listened to all these episodes. You'll notice that not all of them have games. Those are the ones where I couldn't think of one.
Oh, all the ones I've done had
Yeah,
games.
the ones you've done have had them.
So I thought that was just the staple.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a pretty easy game, and I think it's pretty short, but you'll see why, because I do have a discussion topic at the end that if we have time, we'll get to.
An essay question.
Yeah, an essay question. So yeah, I'll mix these up. Shrek It Away, you have to tell me if a character I'm describing is from Shrek or Spirited Away or both.
Oh.
So let's start.
Donkey. Both.
Let's start with an easy one. A large character who smells terrible that everyone hates.
Both.
Yeah, it's both.
Yeah.
Shrek and the Stink Spirit, who are spiritually related, really. A dragon who forms a close relationship
Both.
with a human.
Spirited Away.
Spirited Away.
Oh wait, donkey.
Donkey's a donkey.
Donkey's a donkey.
He's a donkey. Yeah.
You forgot that?
I was
I was wondering, is Fiona a person or is she an ogre?
The dragon's not.
She
Doesn't have a
form
close.
relationship with the
All right,
dragon.
all right.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
just
Well,
all
I
the
guess,
main
I mean,
They're a
characters.
crew.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, well,
Ward
they're
and
all
prisoner,
crew.
maybe, but
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I was talking about
That's
donkey
fine,
and
I got
I
you.
jumped the gun.
the
on that
dragon with the
one.
eyelashes.
Before you said person.
I'm just being a
both.
jerk.
Just being a jerk. A personified sweet that is violently interrogated.
Personified what?
Shrek.
Sweet. Yeah, Shrek.
Oh, yes.
Gingerbread Man.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh,
they break
that's
his
sweet.
legs.
Okay.
And I think they kind of like waterboard him with milk.
I think so.
Yes.
Very topical. Good
Took
job,
off his
Shrek.
leg. Yeah.
A dragon who forms a close relationship with an animal.
Shrek.
That's Shrek.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Shrek. A character who is kind of like an onion.
Shrek.
Shrek.
Both.
Both.
Oh, no, the radish spirit.
Radish spirit. He's kind of like an onion.
He is kind of like an onion.
Yes. It's
You
a root
can-
vegetable.
Yeah, it's a root vegetable. You can substitute radishes for onions in some recipes.
I
if
went on a
people,
limb there, and I was like,
yeah,
maybe that
if people are
onion.
sensitive to onions, you can sometimes substitute radishes in like salads and such. A number of pigs that are also related to each other.
Both.
Yeah, of course it's both. I was thinking, like, are the three little pigs related? They could just be like friends. They don't live
Yeah, they could just
together.
be boys.
They very specifically. I figured they're brothers, so that's why I
It
wrote the
depends
question.
on which one you read. Yeah.
Yeah.
We won't argue.
A character that has an unusual amount of limbs and moves a blanket.
Spirited Away.
I think it's just Spirited Away.
Yeah, it's Spirited Away.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't
Just
think
added
that
more
happens in
information to
Shrek.
try and throw you off.
I know. I
but
was like,
it's
is there
all right.
like a spider or something? But no.
No, you got it. All right, last one is a bonus one. Which of these best animated feature winning movies is generally credited with starting the worst trend in 21st century children's movies ending with a dance party completely unrelated to the plot of the movie.
Shrek.
Hey, that
that's
was
Shrek.
wonderful.
Yeah, great. So that's it. Everyone wins.
Somebody once told me
Yeah,
the world
I was going to say, which one of these has a soundtrack that features All Star?
But
I wish it was
yeah, it's
both.
both.
didn't you hear the alternate ending of Spirited Away?
I'm sure somebody's made some kind of weird YouTube video about this.
Haku just starts breaking
Yeah.
into song.
Everyone's just like dancing directly at the camera for some reason. Yeah, it's great. So the discussion topic that I have written here, because that's a pretty short game, so I'd say we still have a few minutes left. Why do you hate Muppets?
I told you they're the poor man's Sesame Street.
It doesn't make sense. Those are also Muppets.
I only have
They're
one
not.
statement about one response about that. Fuck the Muppets.
Fuck the
God.
Muppets. Elmo could
Oh my
fucking
God.
kick the shit out of Kermit any day.
This doesn't make any
Almost hard.
sense.
I mean,
What do you mean it doesn't make any sense?
I've always hated the Muppets. Like when I was younger, I watched the like Muppet Christmas movie or whatever, and I would
Oh my God.
I turned it off. I was like, this sucks.
Ben's
we
head's
will
about
be
to
doing
blow
that
off.
in a few weeks.
I will not be on that episode.
Yes, you
Gonzo
will.
toys have you seen fucking sold?
They're
That's
for
fair.
adults. You're talking about a kids thing.
What do you mean they're for adults?
They're for adults. They're for mature adults.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, little stuffed dolls.
How many episodes does fucking Muppets have? You know what I mean?
How many
Fucking
episodes of the Muppets?
yeah. How much?
I don't know, a lot.
A lot. You know how many fucking episodes of Sesame Street there are?
All of
Those
them.
are also Muppets.
They are not the
They're
Muppets.
not.
They're not Muppets.
No.
They're Muppets. It's all from the Muppet Factory. It's Jim Henson.
No.
They're not trademarked
No.
Muppets though.
Jim Henson makes
super
things that are
trademarked.
definitely not Muppets.
Are they?
If I was to Google Elmo, would it say Elmo is a Muppet on Wikipedia?
No,
He's a monster.
you probably
He's
already
a
looked this up.
monster. I agree. He's a monster. He's a menace. That's what he
Hey,
is.
don't you talk that way about Elmo.
He ruined Sesame Street. We all agree.
Elmo ruined Sesame Street? I
it
think
was- it
Renly
was-
would be very
We all
upset.
loved Grover, and then Elmo came along, and he blew up way too much, and he's cloying, and everyone hates Elmo.
Hey, it's Elmo's world, okay?
Okay.
I don't know.
If there's anyone out there who's an absolute Muppet fanatic, then you don't have to take my advice and see Spirited Away, okay? If we're, just on that much of a different page.
Oh, here we go. A whole article on why the Muppets suck.
Google says Elmo is a red Muppet character.
No. A red puppet character?
What? Google? Like someone said it, or
Google said it.
They're not the Muppets. Capital T, capital M.
They're Muppets.
Not the Muppets.
They can be.
The Muppets are the poor man's Sesame Street.
That doesn't.
Sesame Street is just so pure.
Muppets are the thinking man's Sesame Street.
I disagree.
If you're still stuck on 1, 2, 3 and ABCs, then sure, enjoy Sesame Street.
You know what kind of topic Sesame Street covers? They cover some deep ass topics.
Well,
The
yeah,
Muppets
there
aren't
was
gonna
that
cover.
time James Gandolfini was afraid to go to sleep in the dark. That was great, but
The time Mr. Hooper died and they have to explain to Big Bird how death works.
on the Muppets, there was the time Jim Henson died, and they had to explain to each other who Jim Henson was.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it's an interesting watch.
this whole person on was this Vice
I think there's like 4,000 episodes of Sesame Street.
wrote about why he
More than that.
like hating the Muppets, and he's like, oh, whenever I say it, people will ask why I don't like the Muppets, or they'll insist that I haven't seen the right episodes or something, and want to introduce me into their weird little puppet-loving cult, to which I say, fuck you. The Muppets aren't green eggs and ham, and I'm not the guy who kept refusing them for no reason, and Sam I Am was an annoying little cocksucker anyway.
Wow.
He's coming for Dr. Seuss, too.
No means no,
I don't know.
Sam I am.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love the Lorax, so.
But I
I
do
guess
love the
Dr.
Lorax.
I do. I guess Dr. Seuss is a different conversation, though.
Yeah. There's a fun museum in Springfield now.
I know.
So-
Wait, really?
yeah.
Oh,
The Muppets suck.
yeah.
Moral of the story.
Period.
Disagree.
The Muppets are fine. They're just not as good as Sesame Street.
That's too light of a statement
For you, yeah.
for me. Yeah.
You don't have children, so.
You don't either.
Yeah, I feel like we're the experts on the
I'm
topic.
just saying, like, at
Oh,
least
yeah.
you're consistent. They have a terrible warped brain.
Yeah, I watched.
Understand.
I
We've
watched a
tried
lot
to
of
show our
Sesame,
daughter the Muppets, and she can't
They're not
even make
for
it.
her.
Sesame Street.
She can't even make it 20
They're
seconds
not
into
for her.
it. They ain't for adults either.
Yeah, but well, if they were Muppets, then she would like them, wouldn't she? Right? Says she likes Sesame Street and they're Muppets, right? So she should
Yeah,
like
they're
the regular
Muppets.
Muppets. She doesn't. She hates them.
I guess she has bad taste.
Wow.
We might lose fans off of this.
I don't know.
We turned the Muppets Christmas Carol on for 30 seconds. Don't like this.
Well, it starts with Michael Caine in her defense. She's got to age into that level of like her suit masculinity.
Viewers, Corey, because we'll get all the Muppet haters and all the Sesame Street haters.
Oh, true.
I don't hate Sesame Street. I think it's just
You're either you
it's
love
a
it or you
weird
hate it.
take. We all hate what it's become, obviously, but classic Sesame Street before Elmo ruined it is like unimpeachable. We all agree.
Don't let Renly hear.
That is strong.
Listen,
Is that a two-way receiver?
She better hope not. I don't know. Elmo just has like millions of fans, but
yeah, and the Muppets don't.
no, they have
They-
one.
They hung out with Michael Caine that one time. They made a great movie.
I do enjoy Muppets Christmas Carol.
Good.
I
Oh.
do.
All right, this is a
I
good
don't
place to end
understand
it.
that take.
No, I just really
It's
didn't
a
enjoy
good
it.
movie. Michael
I
Caine's
so strongly
wonderful.
disliked it as a child that it like has stuck with
It's
me.
the best Christmas Carol.
Yeah,
That pig is not a good character.
that pig.
The pig.
She has a name.
She has a name.
What is it, like Pam?
Is it Miss
She
Piggy?
looks like a Pam.
What is the name?
Miss Piggy. Like you were almost there.
It was Miss Piggy. Okay, yeah.
I
had
only
forgotten.
know Kermit.
She doesn't even have that's not a name. That's just what you are. No wonder I couldn't remember. I was like, oh, her name can't be Miss Piggy. She is a pig, is what I'm thinking.
Says the guy who loves Big Bird.
that was a good one.
Okay,
That's fair.
Bird is his last name.
That's true.
Piggy is her name.
Yeah.
It's like Pele.
Because he has his cousin Bird or whatever.
Yeah, he does.
That is weird.
To be fair, my vet's name is Mrs. Bird or Dr. Bird.
Oh, maybe he's Big Bird's cousin.
Yeah.
Dr. Bird didn't go to medical school for all those years to be called Miss Bird.
Yeah. Okay. I think the podcast has ended at this point.
I think so.
Thank you guys so much for being on the Spirited Away episode. I honestly don't know if we'll do a better movie. I mean, I love Alien a lot, but of the movies we've done so far, this is probably tops for me. And yeah, I don't know how you guys feel, but I assume similarly.
Tops for me in life, so.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for being on. We'll catch you next time.
Awesome. Thanks.
Later.